Hello and welcome back. I'm Mondef, of course, and today I have a response for the B team, both GenerikB and BOO. If you haven't seen their most recent episode of Feed the Beast Mindcrack, first of all, shame on you. You should definitely go watch it. Secondly, I'll have to explain a little bit of this for you. What they're doing is they'd like to have all of the bee output, all the different combs that you get from bees, and which come from a tesseract from another location, and they want to have them auto-processed and sorted into barrels. And this is a mock-up of the system that they built, which I want to start with saying this is a good system, and most of the time it's going to work. Most of the time it'll work. I'll just put it like that. There are a couple problems, and I'll talk about these, and then I'll talk about how I overcame those issues, and then we can move forward with my design. But here's what they did. Just the general outline, just to catch you up in case you missed that episode. The combs come from a tesseract. They're filtering them into hoppers. This is my first problem. Hoppers are only good if you can know exactly how many different types of items you're going to get, and only if those different amount of items are 4 or more. 4 or less, I apologize. 4 or less. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stacking hoppers like this, which is something that a lot of people do, this really doesn't gain you a whole lot of advantage when it comes to different types of inventories. So, for example, if you're going to have 8 different types of combs, you can have 4 stored in here, and that'll work great. And then, who's to say, if this one is a comb that matches any of these 4, it will filter down. So if the first one matches any of these, it will fall down and fill up and start filling up these stacks, of course, until they're full. Now, if this is a full stack, or if it's something that doesn't fit into this hopper, then it doesn't matter what these are. So, for example, you might have 1 copper comb here, waiting for this one to empty so that this one can go into centrifuge. And then you might have 4 copper combs here. So you might think, oh, this is 8 different items, but it's really not. It actually only gives you access to 5. So hoppers are a problem. If you have more than 4 items, hoppers are unreliable, stacking them this way. So that's a problem, but most of the time, their centrifuge will be able to keep up with your bees, and, that's fine. All right, then they pump out, and they sort out, what they're doing is they sort out the non-processed, the honey and the beeswax, that kind of stuff. They're sorting that out, which is fine. And the rest go into these guys over here. These are packagers from factorization. And what they do is they try to craft the item into a 3x3 grid and then into a 2x2 grid. So basically, if you put in, say, using a vanilla recipe, if you put in 9 lapis, it'll craft that 9 lapis into a lapis block. Of course, you have to compress it and feed the beast, but whatever. If you put in wood planks, it'll try to craft a 3x3 of wood planks, which of course does nothing, and then it'll try to craft a 2x2 of wood planks, which will give you workbenches. What they're doing is you get these small piles of ores, and we'll see them here in a minute, and they're stamping them into large piles of ores. And this is pretty good. But again, we've got a weird stacking issue that can arise when you use an array like this. Here's an example. An iron dust comes, so it goes and it sits right here. And then, a ruby dust comes, and then a platinum dust comes, and then whatever. And then an emerald dust comes and sits all the way over to here. 1 emerald dust. And the same time that emerald dust gets there, the 4th iron dust gets here. So this one stamps. Now it's empty. The iron dust goes out to be smelted. And an emerald dust comes. Does it go all the way to the end to match up with the emerald dust that's already in the stamper? No. It goes to the closest inventory, which happens to be this one. Emerald dust, but jink. Now the emerald dust is in here. That's a problem. You could actually get 3 or 4, theoretically, you could get all 9 of these filled with the same item. And what that'll do is, the next item that comes up this pipe, it'll go iron dust, and it'll have nowhere to go, and it'll backstuff this relay here, and then anything else that tries to go into the relay will just pop out of the pipe and fall on the floor and cause a mess. So that's a potential problem. Again, the likelihood of this happening is pretty low, but it's a potential problem that we should address. They pump everything out, send it down iron pipes up here. They sort out, they basically say we have 2 categories, those that should get smelted and those that shouldn't. And this works great. Hopper, yeah, again, hopper, but in this case, the hopper's probably fine since we're kind of throttling it using the stampers. And I don't think this is going to have any problem keeping up with that. If it is, then we can address that on a later date, but I don't think that would be, this hopper, oops, particularly would be a problem. Right? Okay. That smelts the stuff and then it gets sent out. The non-smelted stuff gets sent out down the relay and then into the barrels. So that's what they did. Like I said, pretty good, but let's address those few problems. Ignore this, that was a mistake. This is my solution to all of those issues. Let's start at the beginning of my system. This is a functional demo, so I'm going to explain a little bit of it, and then we'll turn it on. We can talk about it a little bit more in detail. Here's the basic idea. This tesseract comes from the BFO, or wherever your bees are at, and it automatically puts everything into this chest. And keep in mind, this is all raw combs. So this chest will have a whole bunch of raw combs in it. Now, those raw combs need to get sent down into the centrifuge, and to do that I am using a sortron. And we'll talk about this in a minute and why this is set up and why this will work. The sortron will take the combs and put it into the centrifuge. The centrifuge will centrifuge it. All the items will be sent out, and we're going to sort out going down the red line or into this relay, which will go out to our storage. This is where we're going to put items that we don't want to process. So honey drops, beeswax, whatever else you happen to get that you don't need to process. The non-processed bee goods go that way. The rest of them come down the yellow line, and they come into this chest here. This chest is going to store all of these little tiny piles of dusts. And they will go into... the diamond pipe right now is not set to filter anything. We'll come back and talk about why I have a diamond pipe here in a minute. Iron, all the tiny pile of dust goes in here, and then we have a sorting machine. These take the tiny piles of dust and put them into the stamper. The stamper will stamp them, send them over here. Some of these dusts don't get smelted, so here's a non-smelted one that will go up into the relay and get sent to storage. The rest of everything, and the rest of them, the ones that get smelted, will come over here. This relay is sitting on its side. This basically acts as a sideways hopper, but with 9 inventory slots instead of just 4. So yeah, actually, as often as you can, you really should use a relay instead of a hopper, because relays have 9 slots and hoppers only have 4. So yeah, more space, same functionality. You can pump. The only disadvantage is you can only pump into the top, or depending on the way you point it, this one face of the relay. That's the disadvantage of this. And for some designs, okay, that doesn't work, but yeah. That'll go into the powered furnace. This is the powered furnace you can see here. And the powered furnace will output up into this relay, which will insert that into our sorting pipe and down this direction. Now over here I've got a row of barrels and 2 chests. This one over here is not connected to the barrel row. It's connected to this filter. This filter is pulling out these non-processed items, the beeswax and the honey drops. Technically, you could let these go into barrels if you wanted to. That's fine, that works just great. But I did this because they're sorting them out into a different chest. So I don't know if Generic wants them out in a different chest or what, but this is the way you do that. Anytime before the barrels, you add a filter with the items that you want to go out to some other direction or some other chest somewhere else. Maybe this even goes into a tesseract and goes back to the BFO, so you can liquefy the honey and put it into the bee's eyes, right? So this is the way you would do that, and then deal with that there. But barrels, and then at the end, whenever I use a row of barrels, I always like to add a chest at the end. It's not always visible. Maybe I tuck it back behind here, behind the wall or whatever, but I always like to add a chest. The reason is, if one of these barrels fills up, I don't want to instantly start losing items or backstuff the system, or if I happen to not have enough barrels, I don't want to backstuff the system and get everything stopped up. I want to at least have a chest here for some overflow items. So this is an overflow chest. As long as it's at the end of the red power tube line, only the extras will go there. Alright, so let's turn this baby on. This here is my synthetic BFO. Here are all the different combs that my bees will be producing, and I'm just going to turn this bad boy on. Now we'll start pumping combs out. You can see, Redstone signal off is off now. Oh, my pipe is backwards. Awesome. Wrench. There we go. There we go. Combs are coming through, going into the Tesseract. Let's head back over here. So we can see that combs are coming through the Tesseract, and they're going into this chest. Now, not all the combs are going down. And that's because I only have the Sortron right now sorting out these iron combs. So the reason I've done this is if you set up a new bee, you get a new comb. You want to come here and store the comb. We don't want to have an overflow of the comb or have it pop out or whatever. This gets you a chance to come back to your sorting system, be like, these are all new types of combs, right? And then we come to the sorting machine and we just say, okay, emerald, and copper, and tin, bronze, ruby, platinum, golden. These all get processed. And then we can dump these guys right back in there. And we should see the centrifuge having iron combs. The sorting machine is set up with volatile spiral here. That says basically don't rely on any redstone signaling to do, just always run. And then it's running in this mode which says if any of these items fit into the target inventory, go ahead and do that. You can see it's firing right now. Must have gotten some iron combs, or, well, it must have finished the iron combs, and then it fired in all the tin combs from the chest up here. And if they get any more tin combs, they'll get sent down as well. Now this is a little bit faster than normal bees, so we're going to turn this off. Normally bees wouldn't produce this quickly. Right, so we've got a system, and it'll now process all of these combs through the centrifuge. The centrifuged items are going to come up and come across. And if they're, whoops, red pipe, honey drops or beeswax, they're going to go that way and go out to our storage chest. If they're anything else, they're going to come over here and get stored in this little chest here. Now, the stamper can get clogged. If I have one item in here, it's not going to stamp because it needs 4 in order to stamp. So what the Sortron is doing is it's looking for 4 piles of iron, 4 piles of bronze, or gold, or copper, or tin, or platinum. And when it finds 4 of those in this chest, it's going to send them into the stamper, which of course will stamp. Everybody just got to see it. Lucky timing there. And this will be empty and ready for more tiny piles of dust. That does mean that we need to put into the sorting machine anything that isn't already there. So for example, if we had, just cheating a few items in the game here, if we had a bunch of emerald dust in here, and the emerald's not getting sorted yet because the sorting machine doesn't have rules for emeralds, then we need to take 4 of these, put them in the sorting machine, and note there can only be 1 per column. So there's where emeralds would go. The emeralds will start getting sorted like that. And currently, they're going to come get stuck. Because emerald, of course, don't get smelted in a powered furnace. They are going to go get stored as dust form. At least for now. Right? So this is going to clog. So we want this to be in the diamond pipe and tell it to go up. That will tell the emerald to go up into the relay and out and around. So now we can trust that that's going to happen. If we want to test it, we can dump in the rest of our emerald dust, and we can see that all of this emerald dust is now going to go the correct direction. Great. Perfect. That's really all there is to it. Now, I said I was going to come back to this diamond pipe. Right now it's not doing anything. Just anything that comes in goes into the chest. But, as you can see, the Sortron only has 8 columns. And unlike this mode, where we're saying any item, anytime there's a single, anytime there's a single one of these items, try to put it into the centrifuge. But we don't want a single item. We want specifically a stack of 4. So we have to use a different mode, and that's this column mode right here. This says if any of these columns are filled, then send them into the stamper. Now, that means that I couldn't do this, for example, right? Because 4 iron dust and 4 bronze dust aren't going to both fit in the stamper at the same time. So they need to be their own columns. This does mean that each one of these systems like this can only support 8 items. And so you may actually get to the point where you need to add a second column, right? And I forgot my screwdriver. To get this rotated the right way. It's very important to have machines rotated the right way. Very important. And then you add your diamond pipe up on the top here. And then you're just doing basically a little bit of pre-sorting. You're saying, whichever 8 items this sorting machine happens to sort is what you'll put into the black line here. And then the rest will go on into the last one. Never sort the last chest. The reason for that is so that you don't end up with items popping out of your pipe. You want extras to go into the chest, right? So copper should be going in here, into black, and that's where all your copper should be going, right? So now, this one didn't quite make it through. So that's really it. Very simple system. Hopefully that made a little bit more sense on the second pass there when I ran through how to set up all the filters and all of that. This should be expandable, so if you need more types of combs, then you just add them to this sorting machine. If you need to stamp more types of small dust, you just add another column here and another diamond pipe. So that should work. Also, if you wanted to, say, get into, if we come over here, say this emerald dust here, right? Emerald dust has to be cooked in a blast furnace, an industrial blast furnace, in order to become an emerald, which is probably what, honestly, come on. We're the B team, right? It's got to be emeralds. So if you wanted to do that, if you took one of these filters out here, you could slap this anywhere that you wanted to, as long as it was before the barrels. And you could say, as long as you pointed it the right way, B-dubs, of course that'll pick up anything right now. But you could, put an emerald dust in there and say, go off towards the industrial blast furnace. As long as you do it before sorting, it'll work great. So, that's my system. Like I said, good job, BTeam. I think this solves a few of those problems we were talking about there. And it has some specific issues. I'd say it's probably harder to hook up a newbie with my system than it is with BTeam's, because you have to sort the comb and then sort the dust. But it's not going to be as prone to clogs. My system won't clog where theirs could. So, anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments, or with a like button. Either way is great with me. Thanks for watching. I'm Mondef. I'll see you guys next time.